How did I manage to score 97.77 percentile? You don't have to become a Shashi Tharoor in order to get a 97, 98 or a 99 percentile. थोड़ा बहुत English में बात कर लेता हूँ. How I thought while attempting the VARC section, because that matters a lot more than anything else. I have a friend who's done English honors from a very good college. He scored 68 percentile in the VARC section. It was almost useless. It barely made any difference.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel.
Hold on, that's not my real accent. In fact, I don't have any accent. थोड़ा बहुत English में बात कर लेता हूँ, but I am not a Shashi Tharoor kind of a person. So despite of not being very good in English, how did I manage to score 97.77 percentile in the VARC section? Overall, I scored 98 percentile. One thing is very important, and I believe that all of you must know this, that there is no one size fits for all kind of a strategy in VARC. कोई strategy किसी के लिए बहुत effective हो सकती है, but the same strategy could be almost useless for someone else. तो कोई एक strategy नहीं है जो सबके लिए applicable है. For example, reading articles. For some people, I saw it made a significant difference, while for other, it was almost useless. It barely made any difference. The point that I'm trying to make is that self-awareness बहुत important है. I know it's a very basic thing, but it's very important that you know where you stand, what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are. Only then will you be able to create a strategy for yourself. In this video, I'm not going to tell you to read Aeon essays, read editorials daily. I'm not going to do any of that, or to solve 100 RCs relentlessly. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to share how I thought while attempting the VARC section, what my thinking process was all about, because that matters a lot more than anything else. First thing I need you to understand is that you don't have to become a Shashi Tharoor in order to get a 97, 98 or a 99 percentile. VARC is not an English test, but it's a thinking test. Trust me, I have seen people with average English scoring 95 plus percentile. I'll give you an example, and this is an honest example. I have a friend who's done English honors from a very good college. He scored 68 percentile in the VARC section. So the difference is not at all how much English you know, but it's all about how much mental control you have and how much efforts you're willing to put in. VARC is all about three things. Number one, staying calm. Number two is understanding author's intent. And number three is not overcomplicating simple ideas. Simple चीज़ों को simple रहने दो. Don't make a राय का पहाड़. वो थोड़ा important है. मेरी सबसे बड़ी mistake starting में ये होती थी कि मेरे को लगता था कि मुझे I have to read everything very carefully. I shouldn't miss any line. And I have to read very carefully and understand each and every word written in a passage. So the point that I'm trying to make is that VARC को over respect mat do, otherwise it will punish you, and it will punish you bad. You don't have to admire the passage, बस उसका meaning efficiently extract करो and then move on. I never read RCs like a book. I read them like a critical reviewer. While reading, I would constantly ask myself whether the author is speaking for or against the whole thing, what is the tone of the passage, and what is it that the author is trying to say. I consciously ignored certain things while reading the RCs. Number one, fancy vocabularies. You will find certain words जिसका meaning आपको नहीं पता होगा. Just don't try to make sense out of those words. Ignore them. Most of the times they don't matter. Number two, excessive examples. When there are so many examples, you don't have to read all of them. Alright, so you can just read one or two and then just skip the whole thing. So that is something I would ignore. And then often you'd find unnecessary background details which you need not read, and you'll understand that. One thing is extremely important. Never ever try to attempt all the questions unless you are absolutely sure you can do it. But I was never sure of myself, so I never attempted all the questions. So whenever a question felt vague or confusing, let's say, और जब भी ऐसा होता था कि दो options मुझे equally strong लग रहे होते थे, उस केस में I would ignore that question without ego. So don't get controlled by ego. VARC is not a section to prove your intelligence, but it's a section to protect your scores. So एक चीज़ जो मेरे लिए बहुत ज़्यादा वर्क करी was that I never ever searched for the correct options. I would always eliminate the wrong ones first. CAT almost always gives one extreme option, one almost correct option, and one option that goes out of space. If I could eliminate at least two options, only then I attempted the question, or else I simply moved on. I skipped that question and I moved on. Now let's talk about verbal ability. So when it comes to VA, one thing was very clear to me, that vocabulary is overrated. People often told me that you should know certain fancy words, but I think that's highly overrated. What you should really be knowing is the logic and the flow. It is very important. VA questions are limited. For me personally, I love doing VA questions. In fact, I'll also be making a video on how you should approach VA questions. There is a trick. There is a trick for everything. So I would ask myself, which sentence cannot start a paragraph? Which sentence clearly depends on another sentence? And then which sentence cannot be a conclusion? So I always tried to make sense out of what was given in the question. Starting में क्या होता था that mocks would disturb me a lot. One bad mock and I would start thinking that maybe I'm not good enough, मेरी तो English ही weak है, ऐसा बहुत होता था. And in as compared to LRDI and Cons, सबसे ज़्यादा fluctuation मेरा scores में और percentile में VARC में ही होता था. But now when I look back, I think that thought was very wrong and dangerous. You know, when I was doubting myself, because VARC का nature है fluctuate करना. What we have to do is, it's very important that we don't panic and we don't self-doubt us. I would only focus on number one, did I rush? Number two, did I overthink? And number three, did I attempt a question that I should have skipped? Once you set accuracy targets for yourself, that you have to get this much of accuracy, initially the results won't come. It will take time, and that's perfectly normal. For instance, you might shortlist two options but struggle to pick the right one. It happened with me all the time. And these things are not a sign of failure but are a signs of progress. In the beginning, you have to be slow and be patient with yourself. If you try to chase speed, then you'll definitely get demotivated. Be logical. Question every choice, like why this option, why not that option, or why that pairing for the para jumble. So you have to be asking questions. So gradually what will happen is that your accuracy will improve and the speed will follow on its own. Also, I need you to understand that many of the difficult questions are meant to be left unattempted in the exam. You must know how to be selective, how to separate difficult questions from the easier ones, and that comes with enough practice. There is no shortcut for that. Sometimes what happens is that improvement doesn't show up. Despite of you putting in so much effort, I did not attempt CAT level RCs. I would start with very basic RCs. And then I started increasing the level. I would switch to moderate level RCs and then higher level RCs. But even those RCs were not CAT relevant. When I finally felt that yes, I am improving and now I'm ready for the CAT level RCs, that's when I actually started solving CAT level RCs. Now I'll talk about how I actually attempted the VARC section. What I did was that the first 20 minutes I gave to RCs, then the next 10 minutes I did verbal ability questions, and the remaining last 10 minutes again I would come back to RC. Although verbal ability was my strength, but para jumble was like, I always struggled with para jumble, so I would never give priority to para jumbles. I would solve those questions in the end if at all I have time. Otherwise I would ignore those questions because I always got them wrong. Also, in case of para jumble questions, there are many arrangements that are possible, so that would take up a lot of time for me, and due to time constraint I would always avoid para jumble questions. In case of RCs, I followed a two-fold approach. Number one, I skimmed the first paragraph of all the passages and I would try to understand whether or not, I would just try to find out the genre of those passage, whether or not I'd be comfortable reading that passage or not. Do I relate with that passage or not? Like for me particularly, I really enjoyed psychological RCs. So that was my strength. Every time I saw a passage on psychology, I knew that I was going to read it. Second, what I did was I would have a look at all the questions in all the passages, and then जो भी passage में मुझे ज़्यादा direct questions दिखते थे, I would always pick those questions. My favorite type of question was, what do you infer from so and so paragraph, like what do you infer from the second paragraph. So for me, somehow I would always get those questions right. Balancing these two approaches always helped me make better choices. That's all in this video, and I promise you all that in my upcoming videos I'll be decoding how to solve certain kind of questions, what's the logic that goes behind into solving those questions. And if VARC scares you right now, if you've just started your preparation, then trust me, I have been there, done that. Slow your mind, not your reading. That's what worked for me. Thank you so much guys for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel.